The Fowling scene is an interesting piece. It's one of many Alseco frescoes that we see in tombs in Egypt. And this means, Alseco means that this is painted on dry plaster, which is part of why not too many of these survive, because again, those paints will come off in most cases. Now, Nabom was a scribe and counter of grain, which is a fancy way of saying he was an accountant. And then, as now, accountants tend to have, well, rather decent lives, at least from a socioeconomic perspective. There is an inscription, and what we're seeing is a recreation of what he liked to do in the afterlife. In this case, hunting or fowling, in other words, capturing birds. And in this case, he's striding forward. And as he does so, he's actually taking part in the hunt. These aren't servants out there hunting. Instead, he is physically involved in the hunt. And interestingly, unlike T in the Old Kingdom, both his wife, the woman behind him, and his daughter, the woman awkwardly placed beneath his loincloth, accompanies him. This indicates a sort of lifelong and afterlife-long eternal existence with family. It gives us a sense that family is becoming more important, the nuclear family in Egypt. In many societies, the nuclear family is not the basis of the society. It is a necessity, but once one goes to school, really the public sort of takes over in terms of developing someone into whatever role they're going to take. And it's a fairly conventional pose, although the animals are interestingly very naturalistic. Most of them are in profile, so that we can read what they are. But the painting is very, very detailed. It looks quite realistic for the period. This is also what's known as dry fresco, as I said before. So they're painting on dry plaster, and doing so has some advantages. You don't have the time limit of painting on wet plaster, where once the plaster dries, you have to move on. At the same time, it has disadvantages, which are that the paint can easily peel off, whereas on a fresco, for reasons we will explain in another chapter, that doesn't happen. It has a great deal of permanence. And this mural is a great reminder of the predatory and evil nature of cats. Look, they're attacking innocent songbirds, silencing the landscape, damaging the ecosystem, and killing way more animals than they would ever do. And no one actually trains a cat to hunt. You've never heard of, people going out with their cats to take down deer or woolly mammoths. So this is a way for the Egyptians to warn the rest of us that cats are inherently evil. And if you look, its eye is missing, probably carved out by an Egyptian who was worried about being somehow possessed by the spirit of a cat. But as we look at the entire piece, what you see is, again, an image of fertility and virility, the fertility of the land around them. Their reeds are on the left, so we again have that symbolism. We see eggs above the reeds beneath the birds on the left again, giving the sense of fertility, that idea of needing to be born into the afterlife and therefore needing the virility and fertility to go through the acts necessary for that to happen. So this is a big development. We're seeing the development of family as central in the afterlife. We're seeing the development of Alseco painting, of painting on dry plaster. We're seeing the development of a different kind of participation in the hunt, where he's actually participating rather than going out and having his servants do it, and he simply stands on the boat behind them. And of course, we have the warning that cats are inherently evil.